Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I wanted to start off just by kind of getting a sense of your relationships in the film, like Reed and Ben, for example. Where are they when we first meet them?
Kids. They're like, what, in elementary school?
Yeah.
Together?
Well, then it goes 7 years later, so I'd say they're probably about 11 years old when they're hanging out in the beginning of the movie.
And what is the dynamic that forms between them? Is it a protector sort of?
I think so. I mean, Ben definitely doesn't have many friends at all. And I think in a way neither does Reed, so they kind of inevitably find each other. And I think Ben comes from a bit of a harsher background than Reed maybe. And I think he can see that Reed has a gift. And he has something about him, whereas Ben doesn't really have very much going for him. And I think Ben kind of takes it upon himself to protect him in a way. I think Reed is very, very, very misunderstood by a lot of people because he's just ahead of them,
Yeah.
So it is a kind of almost a parental role that I think Ben has over Reed.
Sure. Ben gets a lot out of the relationship as well, right? I mean,
he does, and then he doesn't.
Right. We'll get to that in a second, maybe. But Johnny and Sue are brother and sister, but they don't always seem to get along all that much.
Well, I mean, what brother and sister do?
Right. That's true. Once you guys get your powers, that's even more of a sort of division. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think this is, one looks at it as an opportunity. Johnny looks at it as a sense of purpose, and Sue's just kind of, I will not be used by the government.
I think that most of the tension really just comes out of love. I mean, I just want to protect him, so I think Sue just gets frustrated with his choices.
Yeah. Everyone seems to react differently to how they get their powers as well. Like, Johnny seems to really like getting his powers.
Yeah, I mean, he looks at it as, I think Johnny up until that point was trying to figure it out, what his path is, what his purpose, what his lane was going to be. And I think the accident, the fact that he was finally getting praise for, for his good work, maybe the praise that he never really got from his dad, or his sister, et cetera, that he just used it as a sense of, purpose and, and confirmation for who he was pretty cool.
Yeah. Sue isn't as comfortable with her powers. She wants to get rid of them, basically.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I was interested in playing around with was the fact that Sue, her passion is science and her work, and so at first she really does view her powers as she's not accepting of them at all, and her goal is to get back to normal. So to play that journey with her was exciting to me.
Sure. And then, as you were alluding to a minute ago, Ben is maybe the worse off in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, do you want to comment on how you basically abandoned me and the rest of us?
Well...
He abandons me and the rest of us.
He does.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I'll speak for you. Reed, in a way, he's not a natural-born leader, he's a natural-born scientist. So, he doesn't know how to assume this responsibility, how to, be a leader, how to bring us all together. I mean, I think it's a very human instinct to run away from things. I think his lesson...
and to be fair, my body's stretching all over the place. You're covered in rock. T's on fire. I don't know what's going on. The siren goes off. I got to get out of Dodge. I don't know. If you guys were smarter, you would have escaped too.
It's natural to freak out at that moment, right?
Anyway.
Yeah. It's actually like a horror movie scene when you're crawling through that air duct in a way.
It's kind of funky, right?
Yeah,
I thought it looked good.
Was it important to differentiate from the old series, the old movie series in a way? I mean, the film does feel very different in its tone. Was that was obviously something you guys set out to do?
Josh had very specific tones and very specific themes that he wanted to explore in the movie. I mean, the sci-fi element especially was something that was very important to him.
Yeah.
But, we're not the ones who kind of sat around and said, you know what, let's revive the Fantastic Four. That was, Fox, that was their idea. They had the property, and Josh, those were really the people that came and said, we want to make something completely different than the last ones, and then, as our job, it's really just to help kind of fulfill that vision.
Yeah, sure. Doom obviously is an important part.
Doom!
Toby, how would you describe Reed's relationship with Doom?
Well, I think I respect Victor. Obviously, he kind of was on this project and then left it. I didn't know that I'd been working on the same thing by myself. I had no idea that it was a project that he had started and left a couple years ago. So I think there's that mutual respect, absolutely. And I see him. I don't think Reed really sees his equal, as far as IQ goes, anywhere, and perhaps sees a bit of that with Dr. Storm and with Victor.
Yeah. Is Reed smarter?
Oh yeah. I mean, do you see the end of the movie?
Well, we don't want to get into spoilers.
We don't want to get into spoilers, but
I suspect maybe Doom wouldn't agree, despite no matter how the movie might end, Doom might not agree though.
I would hope not. It wouldn't be very Doom of him.
Right, yeah. What would you guys like to see in future adventures of the Fantastic Four?
Maybe a bit more of the character dynamics that make up the comic book. I think, this is very much an origin story to get them to this point. But just some of the more familiar tones of the comic book, especially like the relationship between Thing and Johnny is very, antagonistic a lot, and we didn't really get a chance in this movie, especially to explore those kinds of things. And that's fun, I think.
Yeah.
It's fun to do this. So maybe some of the stuff between these two guys.
Some like couples fighting.
Yeah,
and
some like couples fighting, some romance.
Superhero problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I actually have a Twitter question from one of our readers, Nate B. He was wondering how much reading of the comics did you guys do in prepping for the movie, or was it mostly the script that you worked from?
It was mostly the script.
Script for me, but doing as much research as I could online as well.
You did?
Yeah.
Like online?
Yeah.
Yeah, good old Wikipedia, right? Yeah.
That's a good starting point. And then reference, da, da, da.
Yeah. Was it the thing where you didn't think you needed to actually read the comics because it's a different format?
You got 60 years of material.
Yeah.
So at some point, I think you're almost overloading yourself, and because we're doing such interesting thing, obviously the Ultimate Fantastic Four is around the time period that we're doing, and can lend itself nicely. But just because you know where your character ends up in 20 years, I don't know how much that's affecting you at this moment, especially pre-accident.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk.